We're going to go ahead and call the 2021-2022 tax rate hearing. Mr. Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight is the night we have our tax rate hearing for the Waynesville School District in the 21-22 school year. So tonight we'll be looking for a motion later in the meeting to approve our set tax rate levy for the upcoming school year. Before we do that, I want to jump into some quick discussion items here and go over a few things. So first of all, I want to look at our assessed valuation here. This is within the Waynesville School District boundaries in Pulaski County. So this is breaking up real estate, which is actually broken up into three categories: agricultural, commercial, and residential. I've got it totaled here just for simplicity purposes. But so if we look at assessed valuation from 20 to 21, there was very significant growth this year due to the big real estate surge that we've had here in the last few months. So you can see there, in total, there's a difference between 2020 and 21 of $15.7 million in real estate, and then a personal property of about $8.5 million. And I'll get into some slides here in just a little bit that show just how significant this growth actually is. That's a total assessed valuation growth this year of $24.2 million. As I mentioned earlier, in the action portion of the meeting, I'll be looking for asking for a motion to set our tax levy at $2.88 per $100 of assessed valuation, and that is estimated to generate revenue in the amount of $10,097,964. As I mentioned earlier, we've had a really large increase in assessed valuation in the county this year. And so I've got some kind of things to point out here. 288, let me go back a slide here real quick. So 288 is where we're going to be looking to set the tax levy tonight. Our actual voter approved levy amount is $2.95. Because of the Hancock Amendment, which is legislation that was passed in 1980, that placed a cap on the amount of tax revenue that can be generated from a tax levy. So when we say $2.95, that is per $100 of assessed valuation, and there is a cap on from 1 year to the next how much the revenue can grow. And so, to my knowledge, this is the first year that Pulaski County has ever hit that cap. And so because of that, we're having to roll a levy back from the $2.95 voter approved amount to the $2.88 mark. And kind of just some mechanics of how all that works here, just to kind of show you, as I mentioned earlier, I've got a slide here to kind of show you the actual significance of the growth here. So from 1920 to 21, our assessed valuation increased by about $817,000, and that's pretty typical of a normal year. From 21 to 22, that growth is $24.2 million, which is 7.4%. So, and speaking to the county assessor, this is all driven by the sales data. He's required to raise or lower the assessed valuation based on the most recent years of worth of sales data. So from speaking to him, a typical year from year to year, we grow around 1% when you're looking at the sales data in Pulaski County. And just in the last year, he said there's been a 9% increase in the sales data. So we're in a really weird, unique situation here that's caused us to have to roll that tax levy back. And this the Missouri Tax Commission, they're the ones that set the CPI, which basically tells us how much we're allowed to grow. So from 1 year to the next, you're only allowed to grow your revenues by the CPI, which this year is 1.4%. So due to the low CPI and the explosion in assessed valuation this year in Pulaski County, we're going to have to roll our tax levy back to that $2.88 mark. And just a reminder here of the great value we get in the Waynesville School District with our low tax levy. Out of all the districts in Missouri, 426 districts, which is 82% of all districts in Missouri, have a higher tax rate than we do. So, whenever you go out and look at other school districts and look at their tax levies and the bond issues that they run and things like that, you just don't see the type of quality facilities and things that we have here in Waynesville when you look at other districts do, even with a higher levy. So just a quick reminder to the public that $2 levy that we have is low, and it's a great value to our patrons. And what would a Waynesville finance discussion be without going into impact aid? So the tax levy ties right into impact aid, and that is mainly due to the local effort that we have to meet. And so I wanted to show this slide here. This is a great graphic to show kind of the need and why impact aid was created in the first place. First of all, I'd like you to just focus on the orange slices of the pie there. So if you look at local revenues generated in Waynesville and then the Missouri average and the United States average. So in Missouri, the average school pulls in about 59% of their revenue from local sources. Across the nation, the average is 46%. In Waynesville, due to the large amount of federal property that we have that we are not allowed to tax, we only pull in approximately 23% of our revenues from local sources. So that was recognized a long time ago by the government, and so that was why they created impact aid, and that's a federal source of funding that comes in to compensate for that very reason. And the reason why this impacts us, and this is a very unique situation to us, this literally only affects two school districts in the state of Missouri, us and Knob-Noster. We're the only two heavily impacted school districts in the state of Missouri. And so we have three criteria here that we have to check off to be able to stay eligible for B2 money. And that is we have to be at least 35% federally impacted. Check. That one, we're actually up around 70 to 72% federally impacted, so that's not an issue. The per pupil expenditure, less than 125% of the state per pupil expenditure, that's not an issue for us either. But the one that we constantly battle is this 95% or greater than the average tax rate of comparable LEAs in the state. So we're in a situation now to where with the most recent application I submitted in January, we should regain eligibility in FY22. But you can see there that we're just barely right above that 95% margin. We're running razor thin there. And then in FY23, we're going to start to kind of get into more of a crucial situation there. And then the issue is, even though, we have a voter-approved levy of 295, I'm going to be forced to run it at 288 because of the Hancock Amendment. And then that just makes it that much more difficult to pass that third level of criteria there. So just a quick reminder and the only way to really combat that is to increase your tax levy. So that's just something we want to keep on a radar, that at some point in the near future we may be forced to look at doing that. Kind of some more information on the impact aid timeline here. So there's two different scenarios that we could fall in now. We are currently in scenario one, where they passed a bill a few years back that allowed us to be into an 8-year hold harmless situation due to some legislation or some differences in between the way the impact aid department and our state calculated the local effort. They ended up pulling some information back from us that we've been using for 20 years to maintain our eligibility. That caused us to fall out at that point. And then they passed legislation that put us in an 8-year hold harmless scenario that puts us in full B2 eligibility until 25. The second scenario is if this year, if we're able to regain B2 eligibility, which it looks like we would, and at that point we would go back in and be in hold harmless for 5 years, or if we were able just to continue that eligibility, then that wouldn't be an issue. But those are the scenarios that we have right now. So I believe that is the last slide I have. As I said, later we'll be asking for a motion to approve the tax levy at 288, and I would be glad to answer any questions at this point.
Any comments or questions? Thank you, Mr. Harrison.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and call the monthly meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Mr. Rao makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
During second, all in favor, show of hands. Motion carries. Citizen statements.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had no one request participation as per board policy BDDH.
Written communications.
We had no written communications either.
Military update.
Good evening. I do have a message from Major General Bonner. This month, Waynesville and other surrounding school districts will begin the 2021-2022 school year. Around 75% of Waynesville School District students have parents who work on the installation, so partnership and mutual support are critical to our shared success. And educating our children is a collaborative effort requiring engaged parents and families. As we prepare for the school year, keep health protection at the forefront of your minds and be safe. In all that you do, adhere to COVID-19 ordinances, general orders, policies, and guidelines that apply to you in your area. Whether on or off post, expect increased morning and afternoon vehicle and pedestrian traffic when school starts. Expect additional security presence and be vigilant and safe while driving in neighborhoods, near crosswalks, and in school zones. Be cautious of other drivers and vehicles, especially school buses. Major General Bonner has authorized a delayed reporting for all employees, military and DoD civilians, on the 23rd of August for the first day of school for any resources or support your family needs. He says that you to contact the school support office in Building 470 or your local school district. Teams have the skill and the willingness to set your children and your families up for success. For the past 18 months, students, parents, educators, staff administrators, and school boards have risen to every challenge in the COVID environment. We are extremely proud and appreciate all their agility, and we wish them the very best as they embark upon the coming year. We are very proud to serve with each of you. Signed, Major General Bonner, U.S. Army, commanding. Victory starts here, victory through skill. Army strong, go Tigers. Pending any questions.
Any comments or questions? Thank you very much. District announcements.
Thank you, Mr. President. Here we are, sitting a week before school starts, so I know there's a lot of very excited children in the community and maybe some very excited parents in the community as well. Students who will be attending school in the seated classroom will be issued their Chromebooks in their schools, where they will also receive their free school supplies through ESSER. It's the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Funds. Virtual students who have not already picked up their Chromebooks and school supplies should call 573-842-2050. We are moving forward with plans to hold a modified in-person Meet the Teacher night or nights. We ask that if at all possible, only one parent and the child or children who will go to that school attend Meet the Teacher. Because these are large-scale community events, masks are to be worn while inside the buildings. Meet the Teacher nights are scheduled as follows. Williams Early Childhood Center and Waynesville 6th Grade Center will be held from 4 to 6 p.m. this Wednesday, August the 18th. Elementary schools for our students in grades K through 5, 4 to 6 p.m. this Thursday, August the 19th. Secondary schools for our students in grades 7 through 12, 5 to 7 p.m. on Wednesday, August the 25th. The first day for the school year is, for the 2021-2022 school year, is Monday, August 23rd, 2021. Buses will be running late in the afternoons during the first few days of school as we work to ensure that each child is on the correct bus. We will also ask that all drivers slow down and be patient for our students, especially during the first few days of school. And finally, Senior Sunrise for the class of 2022 will be held at 6:30 a.m. Friday, August the 27th at Tiger Stadium. That's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. I don't have any comment or question. Do I have a motion to approve consent agenda items A through J?
I'll make that motion.
Porter makes a motion. I have a second.
Second.
During second. All in favor, show of hands. 6-0, motion carries. Staff recognitions. Open Kitchen Manager of the Year, Dr. Cobb.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have the pleasure tonight to recognize Anna Perez. Anna won Kitchen Manager of the Year at OPA Leadership Conference in July 14th of 2021. OPA has over 300 school districts and was selected because of her work ethic, her leadership, commitment to continuous improvement, and dedication to making the students' day. Anna didn't let COVID slow her down. She stepped up and thrived during this difficult time. Anna produced over 1,000 meals each day for the community. She did a smile on her face, and she was very instrumental to the program's success. On behalf of Wayne School District, we thank you very much.
Very well.
move for you, I can, you can. Uh-huh.
I'm going to move. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. Community recognition, Mrs. Bills.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is again my honor to recognize an excellent community partner. Janice Wilson is here this evening as chairperson from Fort Leonard Wood Thrift Shop. Fort Leonard Wood Thrift Shop gives thousands of dollars each year in teacher grants and student scholarships, and we greatly appreciate their partnership. So join me in congratulating Janice and Fort Leonard Wood Thrift Shop.
Yes.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Move discussion items, Parker Fine Arts update, Dr. Cobb.
Thank you, Mr. President. Kaysville Construction's hit the ground running. They are ahead of schedule. They're planning to have most of the demo done by this Friday. They will begin metal framing on the north of the building, along with some of the plumbing changes in the new bathrooms. The next thing they'll also be looking to do by next school board meeting will be to have most of the concrete done on the outside. Next month, we'll have an update with photos.
Sounds good. Grant-funded programs, Mrs. Long.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to present on one of our current grants that we're operating right now, and that is the Project Edge DODEA grant, in which we were awarded in 2018. And after that first planning year, it has been directed by Tina Rowden, who joins me over there as the project director for Project Edge. She has been instrumental in the implementation and flexibility of implementing this grant within the past few years. The grant maintains the same two goals. They have not changed. It was, again, a STEM-focused grant, so those are based on science assessments and the ACT score. One part that the grant supports is the use of exact path and ad minimum personalized learning paths, which in grades K through 6, all students use in both math and reading within their classroom station. Very frequently used in a classroom station or during their intervention times. Students in grades 7 through 12 use this as an intervention tool if they have an identified gap in learning. Here are some pictures of our elementary coding clubs at work and robotics clubs at work in the after-school setting. Very excited about the growth of these clubs. Last year we were able to offer them, the very first year that we offered the after-school clubs, a few of the smaller schools combined and we busted them together, but last year we had enough interest that we were able to offer it in each site, and as you can see with some of the numbers, we had multiple nights in places like East where they had such a high number of students interested, but I'm really excited about that student interest in these areas and continuing to grow these after-school programs. Another component that's come to life within the past year has been our multi-grade STEM-infused class. Sarah Lise Campbell was chosen as the teacher for this class, and she did a dynamic job last year of implementing this. With everything else, we were a little bit flexible on how we implemented last year, with Sarah Lise actually going to the buildings to deliver this in shorter amounts of time than we'd initially planned on, but she was able to, within the past year, give all those students, as you can see from the different buildings, numbers listed there that were interested in this, that experience throughout the year. And the enthusiasm for the program was great, the student interest, other students getting to see that, her being in the building, it just built a lot of momentum and excitement for the program. There's some pictures of the students doing a lot of student presentations, as you can see, to other students, which, like I said, got them then excited and asking questions about this class that their friends got to go to. And so we decided to pilot this in the summer school as well and offered this as a summer school class throughout last summer. And all students who signed up were accepted, which was really exciting. If they wanted to participate in this class in this summer, 113 students were able to participate, and you can see that breakdown. They again did, summer's such a great time with that big chunk of time to work on those STEM-based, problem-based learning assignments, Project Lead the Way, doing some coding and robotics mixed in there as well. And there's some pictures. A lot of time outside in the summer, that was great. And so for this upcoming school year, we are able to revert to the original plan where Sarah Lise has her own classroom now at the middle school, and students will follow, much like we do for our LEAP and gifted students, that same model of going to her classroom at the middle school once a week to participate in that STEM-infused classroom. And you can see the number of students that were accepted into that for this upcoming school year. Any questions?
Mrs. Long, I have one. So what's the application process like, or how do kids get chosen for the STEM infused?
It's for
classroom?
during the school year where,
Yes.
yeah. So we, students apply and it's a lottery system. We did this year, did not allow students to repeat it in order for more students to experience the program. So if they were during the school day, during the school year last year, we didn't bring them over for this year. However, been working with Ms. Rowden and Ms. Campbell to keep that energy going and maybe doing some after-school STEM alumni type activities for those students to kind of keep that going, but then offer that opportunity since it's kind of limited on the number of seats that we can offer. We ran those through a lottery with those that were able to.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you, Ms. Long.
Thank you.
Job description, Mrs. Bills.
Thank you, Mr. President. The following attached proposed job description is presented for your review as a first reading, Communications Specialist. The administration will request approval at the regular September meeting of the Board of Education.
Curriculum documents, Dr. Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. Attached in board docs, you will find updated curriculum documents for your review. We have English Language Arts for grades K through 8, math for grades K through 8, and then our high school EOC tested courses, which are English 10, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Biology, and Government. These will be brought back for approval at our regular September board meeting.
Moving to action items, 2021-2022 tax rate hearing, Mr. Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, we are looking for a motion to approve the tax rate levy of $2.88 per each $100 of assessed valuation for the FY22 budget.
I have a motion. Mr. Ponder makes a motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Harn, second. All in favor, show of hands. 6-0, motion carries. 2021-2022 tuition rate, Mr. Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight also, we are looking for a motion to approve the 21-22 school year tuition rate at $10,000. This tuition rate is calculated on the current expenditures per average daily attendance. And so that this year it came out, we rounded up or down to the nearest $50. So that this year it came out at $10,000 for the tuition rate.
I have a motion.
Motion.
Brown makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Dr. Fulmer, second. All in favor, show of hands. 6-0, motion carries. Substitute pay, Ms. Bills.
Thank you, Mr. President. Administration recommends the attached pay schedule for the 2021-2022 district substitutes.
Any comments or questions? Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Honor makes a motion. Dr. Fulmer, second. All in favor, show of hands. Local compliance plan statement, Dr. Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. Administration requests a motion to approve the Special Education Local Compliance Plan Assurance Statement as presented. We do review this each year. We are adopting Model A, which is adopting the model compliance plan made available by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
Comments or questions? Do I have a motion? Darren makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ralph, second. All in favor, show of hands. Motion carries. proposed 2021-2022 revised calendar, certified handbook, and classified handbook. Mrs. Bills?
Thank you, Mr. President. Administration recommends the approval of the proposed 2021-2022 school calendar, certified handbook, and classified handbook, with Juneteenth added to our calendar as an observed holiday. And just for the public, district offices will be closed on that day.
I have a motion.
Motion.
Second. Daring, all in favor, show of hands. Motion carries. And revisions to the 2021-22 staffing plan, Mrs. Bills.
Thank you, Mr. President. Administration recommends the approval of the revision to the 2021-2022 staffing plan with the addition of 1 FTE at early childhood special education teacher at Williams.
I have a motion. I'll make a motion. Do I have a second? During second, all in favor, show of hands. Motion carries 7-0. Learn Life Savers Program, Dr. Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you'll recall, in July, excuse me, we had a representative from Learn Life Savers that presented their program regarding organ, eye, and tissue donation. This is a program that we are now required to present to the board by state statute, and the board then follows up with deciding whether or not they would like to make this presentation available to students. So we are recommending that this information be made available to students and staff. You would be approving the program. It would likely be used at the high school level and in conjunction with one of the courses. We haven't gotten that fit into the curriculum fully, but this would give us the ability to go ahead and work on that as we move forward. So recommend that program.
Comments or questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Barnes makes a motion. Do I have a second? Ponder makes a second. All in favor, show of hands. And we've already been closed. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Charles isn't here.
Hey, if Charles isn't here, how do we adjourn?
Yeah.
Dr. Fulmer's taking the spot. I have a second. Daring, all in favor, show of hands. We are adjourned. Have a great year, everybody.